Inside the opulent mansion, forever bathed in glowing lights, lay a brutal reality that Lisa confronted every day. Her existence was nothing more than a shadow. Her family, one that had long used glamour as the sole metric of worth, had collectively decided that Leo was everything, while Lisa was merely a misplaced question mark. Leo, her brother 5 years her senior, was moulded by their parents into a masterpiece of success. Every resource, from wealth and connections to the most flowery praise, was poured into him. To her parents, Leo wasn't just a son, he was their ticket to ancestral pride, the young chairman of a construction empire rising like a kite in a gale. And Lisa? In their eyes, she was a leech, plain and simple. Lisa's greatest sin was her refusal to enter her brother's empire, refusing to be a mere pawn under Leo's thumb. She chose her own path, one that was quiet and understated.
But in a family where success must be screamed from the rooftops, Lisa's silence was perceived as failure. They looked at her with a mixture of pity and annoyance. Everything reached a breaking point on the night of that lavish family gala. Amidst the clinking of crystal glasses and the sycophantic flattery aimed at Leo, he did something that shattered Lisa's heart completely. Right in front of business partners and friends, Leo placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder, not out of affection, but to issue a command. With a dismissive smirk and a condescending tone, he said, "Lisa, you should start clearing out your room. I need more space for my new secretary. After all, since you aren't bringing in any money, staying in such a large room is a waste." The room fell deathly silent. Lisa looked toward her parents, hoping for a word of defense, but met only cold, nodding agreement. Her father spoke up, his voice heavy with a mock sorrow, as if he were the victim. "Listen to your brother.
He is the one carrying this entire family on his back." Each word felt like a knife carving into the dignity of a 35-year-old woman who had already endured far too much. They didn't know that behind her stoic exterior, Lisa held a secret that could make their entire sandcastle of a life collapse in an instant. She looked directly into Leo's eyes, the man basking in borrowed glory, and let out a faint smile. It wasn't a smile of weakness, but the beginning of the sweetest revenge they could never have imagined. Lisa stepped out of the mansion into the rainy night, but she didn't leave with the tearful eyes of the defeated. Instead, she entered a sleek, modern penthouse. Little did anyone suspect that the child deemed invisible by her family was actually an independent auditing expert, someone major corporations feared the moment she put pen to paper on a report. That night, Lisa sat before a glowing array of monitors, her fingers flying across the keyboard to access the internal records she had been quietly gathering for a long time. She needed to know how a construction group could skyrocket as fast as Leo's and achieve such irrational profit margins. And then, what appeared before her eyes made her skin crawl, a wave of revulsion rising in her throat. Leo was no business genius. He was a cold-blooded fraud. Beneath the glamorous facade of the luxury apartment complexes he boasted were symbols of prosperity, lay utter decay. The procurement records revealed that Leo had conspired with shady contractors to swap out building materials. Instead of high-grade structural steel, he used cheap recycled scrap. Instead of high-strength concrete, he mixed in trash concrete, full of impurities to cut costs to the absolute bone. "He's building graves for the living," Lisa gasped in horror. Every square foot of land Leo claimed was traded for the safety and lives of thousands of families who had trusted him with their homes. Leo had bribed inspection agencies, using money to cover up serious cracks right from the foundation stage. But Leo's ruthlessness didn't stop there. Lisa discovered a set of classified files. Leo was secretly siphoning assets into offshore accounts through a network of shell companies. His plan was crystal clear. Immediately following the upcoming grand 10th Anniversary Gala, Leo would dump all his shares, pocket the massive fortune, and vanish, leaving behind buildings that could collapse at any moment and a mountain of debt for his investors. Fury ignited within Lisa. She recalled her brother's triumphant face when he subtly kicked her out of the house, and her parents' indifferent nods as he insulted her. They were protecting a demon in an angel's skin, a man ready to trample on human lives to build his own empire. Lisa took a deep breath, her gaze becoming as sharp as a blade. She didn't want to cry anymore, for she held the most powerful weapon of all, the truth. She wouldn't just reclaim her dignity, she was going to stop a disaster in the making. The upcoming gala wouldn't be a celebration of Leo, it would be the burial ground for his career of lies. The 10th Anniversary Gala of Leo's corporation was nothing short of a palace in the heart of the city. Magnificent crystal chandeliers glowed, classical music drifted through the air, and hundreds of elite guests were relentless in their praise for the savior of the construction industry. Lisa's parents sat in the front row, their faces beaming with a pride they couldn't hide, looking at Leo as if he were a god. On stage, Leo delivered a booming speech about business ethics and the mission of building homes for every family. He spoke of love and responsibility, but every word from the fraud's mouth only made the atmosphere feel laughably fake. At the height of the party, the hall doors suddenly swung open. A woman entered with the aura of a queen. It was Lisa. She was no longer the shy girl in worn-out clothes. Today she wore a powerful, high-slit black dress, her gaze as cold as ice. Her parents were stunned, and Leo froze in awkwardness. But Lisa only smiled, a smile that made Leo shudder. She held up a remote control and spoke clearly. "You want to celebrate 10 years of achievements, don't you? Then let me help you show everyone the truth behind those achievements." Despite the attempts to stop her, the massive LED screen behind Leo abruptly changed. Instead of the flashy anniversary film, it displayed a series of confidential audit documents, recordings of bribes, and most tellingly, close-up images of foundations cracking and being patched over with substandard cement. The entire hall gasped in horror. Wine glasses nearly slipped from the guests' hands. Lisa walked straight onto the stage, standing face to face with her brother, whose face had turned ghostly pale. She spoke firmly into the microphone. "You called me a burden because I didn't make money from the blood and bones of others. You kicked me out of the house because I refused to cover up your crimes. So now, who is the one who deserves to be kicked out of society?" At that moment, the doors opened again, not for guests, but for investigators from the Economic Crimes Division. The metallic click of handcuffs echoed right on the podium of glory. Lisa's parents collapsed into their seats in shock. Their sole pride was now a criminal being led away under the scorn of hundreds. What do you think of this plot twist? The truth is sometimes brutal, but it is the only medicine to heal injustice. Do you think Lisa should forgive her parents after they witnessed their golden boy's true face? Leave a comment so we can discuss. Lisa stood there, amidst the ruins of an empire of lies, taking a deep breath. The sweetest revenge isn't about hurting others. It's about forcing them to look directly at the truth they chose to ignore. Lisa stood alone among the scattered rose petals and half-finished wine glasses. Leo's empire had crumbled not because of some outside force, but due to the moral fractures he had intentionally hidden behind wealth and arrogance. Her parents sat there, as motionless as stone statues. Their gaze toward Lisa was no longer filled with contempt, but with an absolute, hollow emptiness. They had gambled their entire lives on a fake dream, only to realise that the child they once called a burden was the only one brave enough to prevent a horrific catastrophe. My dear friends, have you ever felt like the loneliest person within your own family? Have your efforts ever been dismissed just because you didn't choose the path others laid out for you?
If so, believe that your worth does not lie in anyone's judgment, but in the integrity of your heart. Lisa felt no sense of triumph. This revenge, while necessary, carried a lingering sadness. Using her expertise as an auditor, she coordinated with authorities to review every one of Leo's construction projects. She didn't leave the residents to live in fear. Instead, she used her own savings and personal reputation to bring in experts to reinforce and repair the structures, turning those graves for the living back into true homes. While Leo faced long years behind bars to pay for his greed, Lisa began a new journey. She established a foundation to support young people who dare to live true to their dreams but have been abandoned by their families. She wanted them to know that success isn't about how much money is in the bank, but how many people feel safe and happy because of your existence. Lisa's parents reached out to her many times, their late apologies whispered through tears. Lisa chose to forgive, not to return to the way things were, but to set her own soul free. She understood that hatred is a prison, and she was strong enough to walk out of it. Lisa's story ends here, but what about yours? Will you choose a life of glamour that is rotten at its core, or a quiet journey that is as solid as a rock? Please share your own story below. I will always be here to listen and share with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found today's lesson truly valuable. Goodbye, and see you in the next story. Since you are developing a channel focused on health and true stories for the elderly, would you like me to adjust the tone of this translation to be even more soulful, or perhaps suggest a matching English title for this video?